dream destinations, exceptional cruises, polar adventures. Welcome to Beyond the Horizon, the podcast that takes you where the journey truly begins. A production of Area Voyages.
Imagine trying to perfectly pour a vintage Bordeaux.
Oh, that's hard enough on land.
Right. And while you're doing that, you also have to execute a flawless, delicate, Michelin-level souffle.
Which is basically culinary high-wire work.
Exactly. But here is the catch. You are doing all of this while the kitchen beneath your feet is pitching at a 5-degree angle in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, that completely changes the math.
It really does. I mean, you were dealing with maritime supply chains, saltwater humidity, and just the sheer vibrations of massive engines.
Not to mention the logistics of feeding thousands of other people at the exact same time.
Right. And, usually when we think about a cruise vacation, there's a very rigid expectation of what that experience is going to be. It's almost binary.
Yeah, you essentially have two completely different worlds.
On one hand, you have the mainstream megaships, the ones, they're basically floating theme parks.
Massive water slides.
Neon lights everywhere, thousands of people.
Yeah.
And just this constant, inescapable sensory overload.
Well, it's the sheer volume of humanity. The business model for those mainstream ships relies entirely on scale.
Right.
And maximum stimulation. It is organized chaos, but by design.
Yeah, organized chaos is the perfect way to describe it. And then on the far other end of the spectrum, you have ultra-luxury boutique yachts.
Which are incredible, but very different.
Totally different. They are incredibly intimate, very quiet, highly exclusive, but they also lack the grand entertainment.
Right, because of the size.
Yeah, you aren't getting Broadway caliber shows or 20 different dining venues on a boat that only holds 200 people.
Yeah.
So it has always been a very clean, accepted divide in the travel industry. You either choose massive scale or you choose quiet sophistication.
Which honestly makes perfect sense from an engineering standpoint and a hospitality standpoint, really.
How so?
Well, trying to combine the two feels like a paradox. How do you actually maintain white glove intimacy when you have 3,000 people on board? Most of the travel industry just accepted that as a permanent, immovable reality of physics and economics.
But then you look at what happens when a company decides to deliberately blur those lines.
And that is where it gets really interesting.
It really does. What happens when a cruise line spends literally $1 billion per ship to engineer a space that offers the vastness of a megaship, but the architectural elegance and the culinary execution of a boutique, land-based luxury hotel?
Suddenly that clean divide is just completely shattered.
Exactly. It shatters the whole paradigm, which is exactly why we are dedicating this deep dive to a really fascinating piece of source material we've got on the table today.
I'm really excited to get into this one.
Me too. It is a comprehensive, newly updated guide from April 19th, 2026. It's called the Ultimate Celebrity Cruises Guide.
Compiled by Yvonne Jr. Blanchett.
Right, Yvonne Jr. Blanchett, who is a travel advisor and cruise specialist from Area Voyages. And our mission today is to essentially unpack Celebrity Crema's highly specific position in this market.
Because they occupy a very unique space.
They really do. We need to figure out how they balance this ambitious billion-dollar architecture with Forbes Five-Star dining without charging ultra-luxury, top-tier prices.
And looking at the mechanics behind it all?
Exactly. The underlying mechanics, the engineering, the economics, the psychology. Basically, we want to help you, the listener, figure out if this highly specific maritime ecosystem is actually the right way to spend your precious vacation time.
It is such a fascinating study in corporate strategy because for a very long time, the premium category in travel was just a vague middle ground.
They're like purgatory.
Exactly. It was the purgatory of hospitality. It wasn't cheap enough to be a mass market bargain, but it wasn't refined enough to be true luxury. It was just sort of there.
Just floating in the middle.
Right. But the data and the history we are going to look at today show how Celebrity really weaponized structural design and culinary execution to make the premium category a distinct destination in itself.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really understand what this brand is today and why they are building these billion-dollar floating architectural marvels, we kind of have to look at the origin.
We have to go back a bit.
Yeah, we have to look at how they intentionally avoided becoming just another mass market party ship in the first place. So the timeline takes us back to April 1988.
1988 is an entirely different universe for the cruise industry.
Oh, completely.
The brand was founded by the Chandris Group, which was a Greek shipping family, and they were not newcomers to the ocean by any stretch.
They knew what they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. They had been operating various shipping and cruise brands since the 1960s, mostly targeting different lower-tier price points, so they really knew the mechanics of moving people across the water.
But the strategy for Celebrity was conceived as a deliberate step above the norm. Right out of the gate, wasn't it?
Yes, it was highly intentional.
The Chandris family looked at the landscape and realized the mass market was becoming a race to the bottom, like in terms of price and quality.
Who can offer the cheapest ticket?
Exactly. And they wanted to attract a specific type of traveler, someone who wanted contemporary design and a much more sophisticated culinary experience than, the buffet lines the mainstream operators were pushing at the time.
They saw a massive unexploited gap. There was this growing demographic of affluent professionals who had essentially aged out of the loud, party-centric cruise ship.
Right. They didn't want the water slides anymore.
Exactly. But they either couldn't afford or simply didn't want the stiff, tuxedo-required formality of the legacy luxury lines like Cunard or Seabourn.
Yeah, that super formal vibe isn't for everyone.
Right. So the Chandris family aimed directly for that gap in the middle.
So they established this premium identity, and it's working. But then, in 1997, the landscape shifts dramatically.
A massive corporate move.
Huge. Celebrity merges with Royal Caribbean Cruise Line to form a new parent company, Royal Caribbean Cruises Ltd. And now, looking at this from a business perspective, my immediate thought was, well, that's the end of the premium dream.
It usually is.
Right. Because I'm thinking of this like the film industry. You have prestigious, critically acclaimed indie film studio. They make brilliant, nuanced movies.
Like a boutique operation.
Exactly. And then they get bought out by a massive, blockbuster-producing conglomerate that specializes in CGI explosions.
A classic buyout.
Yeah. And the fear is always that the indie studio is going to lose its soul. They're going to be forced to homogenize their product to fit the conglomerate's mass market spreadsheet. So I have to ask, does a corporate merger of this scale ever really leave the smaller premium brand untouched?
Well, your skepticism is entirely justified, and honestly, the indie film analogy is the perfect way to look at it. The graveyard of corporate mergers is full of boutique brands that were bought for their prestige and then immediately stripped for parts.
Or just diluted down to save money.
Exactly, diluted to save on supply chain costs.
Yeah.
It is the classic corporate trap. But what makes this specific 1997 merger a masterstroke of business strategy is that Royal Caribbean did the exact opposite. Yes, they recognized that homogenizing Celebrity into Royal Caribbean would destroy the very value they had just purchased.
Oh, wow. So they basically built a firewall between the two brands.
Deliberately. They allowed Celebrity to maintain its own identity, its own distinct fleet design, its own culinary operations, and its own premium market positioning.
That's incredibly rare.
It is, but... And this is where the physics of the industry really change. Celebrity now suddenly had the massive financial backing of a conglomerate.
Oh, right. The deep pocket.
Exactly. The shipbuilding leverage and the...
Oh, the Solstice class. Okay, this is where the architectural philosophy really caught my attention. Because we need to contextualize what ship design actually looked like back in 2008.
It was a very specific era.
Very.
Yeah.
Up until then, premium or not, cruise ship interiors were heavily reliant on what you might politely call busy ornamentation.
Very politely. Heavy brass, mirrored ceilings.
Yes.
Aggressive neon lighting, and geometrically loud carpets. It was the sensory overload aesthetic.
Right. They looked like floating Las Vegas casinos from the 1990s. And I think the industry just thought that was what a vacation was supposed to look like.
It was the accepted standard.
But then Celebrity launches the Solstice class, and they pivot hard in the complete opposite direction.
Completely different visual language.
Cleaner architectural lines, muted tones, sophisticated spatial design. But the detail that truly blew my mind, the thing that proves they weren't just playing it safe, is what they put on the top deck.
Oh, the grass.
Yes. They planted real, growing grass lawns.
The lawn club. Yes. And we really need to pause and think about the sheer agronomic and engineering nightmare of that decision.
I can't even imagine.
You are proposing to maintain a half acre of living, breathing, photosynthesizing grass on the top deck of a moving steel structure.
In the middle of the ocean.
Exactly. A structure that is constantly subjected to hurricane-force ocean winds, relentless saltwater spray, and extreme temperature fluctuations as the ship moves from the Caribbean to Northern Europe.
Just keeping grass alive in your front yard is hard enough. Doing it at 20 knots in the salt water is wild. Why take on that headache?
Because of what it communicates psychologically to the passenger.
Interesting.
It is the ultimate rejection of the floating casino trope. When you step out of an elevator and you are standing on a perfectly manicured lawn, feeling real grass compress under your shoes while looking out at the open ocean, it fundamentally resets your nervous system.
Wow. I never thought about it like that.
It signaled to the entire industry that Celebrity was treating maritime space not just as a container for entertainment, but as an architectural environment meant to induce tranquility.
It's an incredibly loud statement made very quietly.
That's a great way to put it.
So we've established the foundational philosophy here. Premium design, highly protected brand identity, backed by massive corporate funding. Now we need to transition into looking at the actual physical hardware floating in the water today.
The current fleet.
Right. Because one of the core takeaways here is that ship size and age completely dictate the kind of experience you are going to have. You can't just book a brand name. You are booking a specific piece of maritime engineering.
That is a critical distinction for anyone listening to this. You have to know what ship you're getting on.
Absolutely.
The fleet operating in 2026 is essentially divided into three distinct generational architectures. You have the Millennium class, the Solstice class, and the Billion-Dollar Edge class.
Okay, let's start with the foundation then, the older Millennium class. These are the oldest ships currently active in the fleet, built back in 2000 and 2001. There are four of them: Celebrity Millennium, Infinity, Summit, and Constellation. And we really need to talk about scale here because the terminology gets kind of confusing.
It does. People get very mixed up by it.
They carry about 2,170 guests each, and they measure around 91,000 gross tons. And actually, before we go any further, can we clarify gross tons?
Absolutely.
Because I think a lot of people hear that and assume it means the physical weight of the ship, like how much water it displaces.
It's a very common misconception. Gross tonnage has absolutely nothing to do with weight.
Wait, really?
Nothing at all. It is a measurement of interior enclosed volume.
Oh, volume.
Yes. Historically, it goes way back to how many tons, which were these massive casks of wine a ship could hold in its hull.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So today, 1 gross ton is equal to 100 cubic feet of enclosed space. So when we say a ship is 91,000 gross tons, we are talking about the sheer cubic volume of interior real estate available for cabins, theaters, restaurants, and engine rooms.
Okay, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
So by today's mega ship standards, where you have vessels pushing like 250,000 gross tons, these 91,000 ton Millennium ships are actually quite small.
They are very small, and this presents a classic capital allocation problem for a cruise line.
How so?
Usually when a company has 25-year-old ships, they treat them as depreciated assets, they downgrade them to budget 3-day booze cruise routes.
Oh, right, the quick weekend runs.
Exactly. They stop investing heavily in their interiors, and eventually they just sell them off to a discount operator. But Celebrity didn't do that. They initiated a massive capital expenditure program called the Celebrity Revolution.
Right, I saw this in the guide. This ran from 2019 to 2023. They essentially ripped these older ships down to the steel studs and completely gutted them.
A total overhaul.
Yeah, they updated the staterooms, the public spaces, the dining venues, all to align with the highly modernized aesthetic standards of their brand new ships.
And we have to ask why a corporate board would approve such a staggering financial investment into a 25-year-old hull.
Yeah, it seems crazy.
It comes entirely down to brand trust. If you are charging a premium fare, you simply cannot afford to have a guest step onto a Millennium class ship and feel like they are sailing with a completely different, cheaper company than if they stepped onto your flagship.
Oh, I see.
They required absolute aesthetic unity across the entire fleet.
I mean, I see the logic from a branding perspective, but I have to push back as a consumer here.
Go for it.
If I am the one holding the credit card and I have the option to book a vacation, why would I ever deliberately choose to sail on a 25-year-old, 91,000-ton Millennium class ship, even if it has been beautifully gutted and refurbished, when the shiny, brand new, massively innovative billion-dollar ships exist in the exact same fleet?
It's a fair question.
It feels like choosing to buy a refurbished iPhone X when the iPhone 15 is sitting right next to it? What is the actual draw?
The draw is geography.
Oh.
And physical access.
Okay.
The reality of maritime navigation is that a massive, modern, 140,000-ton ship simply cannot physically fit into certain places on the planet.
Oh.
They have too deep of a draft, meaning the hull goes too far underwater, and their superstructure is just too high or too wide.
So it's a pure geometry problem.
Precisely. These smaller Millennium-class ships are deployed heavily in Alaska, the Pacific, and on highly specialized port-intensive itineraries.
That makes sense.
If you want to navigate deep into the narrow Alaskan fjords to get right up to the face of a glacier, or if you want to dock in smaller historic ports in the Mediterranean that haven't dredged their harbors for megaships, you physically require a smaller vessel.
Okay.
Celebrity's value proposition with this expensive refurbishment program is essentially, we know you have to take a smaller, older ship to reach these incredible destinations, but we refuse to make you compromise on the modern luxury aesthetic to get there.
Okay, that totally flips my perspective.
Yeah.
The ship becomes the specialized tool required for the job. That makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
So, moving up in size, we bridge the gap with the middle tier, the Solstice class. This is the generation that introduced the grass lawns we discussed earlier.
Right, the Lawn Club.
There are 5 ships built between 2008 and 2012. Solstice, Equinox, Eclipse, Silhouette, and Reflection. They are significantly larger, carrying between 3,148 and 3,480 guests, and pushing up to 126,000 gross tons.
And operationally, this class remains the absolute workhorse of the fleet.
The reliable middle child.
Exactly. This was the architectural template that proved Celebrity's modern viability. Beyond the Lawn Club, these ships introduced the sweeping, multi-venue dining approach and the massive glass-centric designs that opened the interiors up to natural light.
Which is so important on a ship.
And again, to maintain that fleet-wide consistency we just talked about, ships like the Eclipse and Silhouette have undergone recent refurbishments to ensure they don't feel dated.
So the Solstice class is the reliable, highly refined sweet spot. But let's be entirely honest with each other here. If we are talking about this brand in 2026, we have to talk about the main event.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to talk about 2018. Because based on everything we are looking at in the guide, 2018 is the year Celebrity didn't just evolve. They fundamentally mutated their own DNA.
And arguably forced the entire broader cruise industry to play catch-up.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
We need to dissect the Edge class.
The Edge class is the ultimate manifestation of that Royal Caribbean corporate firewall we discussed earlier.
Right, the big budget.
This is where the massive conglomerate backing allowed Celebrity to swing for the architectural fences. These ships cost approximately $1 billion each to construct.
$1 billion. With a B.
With a B. And it's not a one-off prototype. It's a relentless rollout. You have 5 currently in active service. Edge launched in 2018, Apex in 2021, Beyond in 2022, Ascent in 2023, and the brand new Celebrity Excel, which just entered service in November 2025.
And there's another one coming, right?
Yes, a 6th Celebrity Excite is already confirmed for 2028.
It's just a staggering amount of capital deployment. But what's fascinating to me is that they aren't just copy-pasting the blueprints every time. They are actively evolving the physical dimensions of the class mid-production.
They are.
The early ships, Edge and Apex, were built at around 130,000 gross tons. But then, right in the middle of the run, for Beyond, Ascent, and the new Excel, they literally stretched the hull.
They did.
They made the ships 20 meters longer, bringing them up to 140,600 tons.
And we really have to look closely at how they utilize those additional 20 meters.
Yeah, what do you do with that space?
Well, in the mainstream cruise industry, if you give a company an extra 20 meters of steel, they are going to cram as many additional passenger cabins into that space as structurally possible.
To maximize ticket revenue.
Exactly. But Celebrity took a completely different approach. The additional volume was deployed primarily to expand open-air public spaces.
Wow.
They built a massively larger retreat sun deck for suite guests, and they dramatically enlarged the rooftop garden.
So they used $1 billion structural expansion just to give people more room to breathe.
Because spaciousness is the ultimate luxury on a cruise ship. The feeling of not being crowded is what separates premium from mass market.
That is so true. And on the newest iteration, the Excel, They've pushed the engineering even further. It features the largest spa facility at sea in their entire fleet.
Huge wellness focus.
They've completely redesigned the aft of the ship, introducing a new venue called the Bazaar, which replaces the Eden space from the earlier ships. But the detail that I found most compelling actually has nothing to do with passenger-facing amenities.
The engine room.
It's deep in the engine room. Excel is equipped with the first methanol-capable propulsion system in the fleet.
This is a monumental shift for maritime engineering, truly.
Can you break that down for us?
Sure. Historically, cruise ships run on heavy fuel oil, or bunker fuel, which is essentially the thick, highly polluting dregs of the oil refining process.
The nasty stuff.
Very nasty. The industry has been slowly transitioning to liquefied natural gas, or LNG, as a cleaner bridge fuel. But methanol is the actual holy grail for decarbonizing the maritime industry.
Really?
Yes. If produced using renewable energy, which is called green methanol, it can virtually eliminate sulfur oxides and dramatically reduce carbon emissions.
But I imagine retrofitting a billion-dollar ship designed to handle a completely new type of fuel chemistry isn't just a matter of changing a gas tank.
Not at all. It's incredibly complex. Methanol has a lower energy density than traditional fuels.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning you need massive, specialized storage tanks that take up significantly more cubic volume. And as we know, volume is the most precious commodity on a ship.
Right.
It requires completely different piping, different safety protocols, and new engine configurations. Implementing a tri-fuel engine capable of handling methanol is a massive leap toward future-proofing the vessel environmentally.
It's just incredible engineering below the waterline. But let's bring it back up to the passenger decks, because the structural engineering above the water is what truly defines the Edge class.
The visual icons.
Yes. Celebrity brought in architect Tom Wright, who is the visionary behind the Burj Al Arab in Dubai, to design features that literally had no precedent in maritime history. So we have to talk about the magic carpet.
The magic carpet is arguably the most audacious piece of kinetic architecture ever attached to a commercial vessel.
I had to read the technical descriptions of this thing 3 times to fully grasp the madness of it.
It sounds made up.
It really does. It is a cantilevered platform, roughly the size of a tennis court. And it is attached to the exterior starboard side of the ship, literally hanging over the open ocean. And it moves.
Yes, it travels vertically up and down the exterior of the hull using massive hydraulic lifts.
It's just wild.
Now let's break down the physics of why this is so difficult. A 140,000-ton cruise ship is not a rigid concrete building. It is a dynamic, flexing steel structure.
Oh, because of the waves.
Exactly. It pitches forward and backward, it rolls side to side, and the hull actually twists and vibrates from the torsion of the waves in the engines.
That sounds terrifying for an architect.
It is. To take a 90-ton platform, hang it off the side of that flexing structure, and have it move smoothly and safely up and down the side of the ship while subjected to ocean wind shear. It is an absolute marvel of mechanical engineering.
And it isn't just an amusement park ride, right? It serves distinct functional purposes depending on where it locks in.
Completely functional.
Like, if they raise it to the very top deck, it functions as an open-air bar and lounge hovering above the ocean.
Right.
If they lower it to deck 5, it expands one of the specialty restaurants into an alfresco dining venue. And if they take it all the way down to sea level, deck 2, it becomes a luxury marina extension.
Which is brilliant.
It is. Because making the process of boarding tender boats, which is usually a claustrophobic, miserable experience deep in the bowels of a ship, it actually makes it feel like an upscale yacht club departure.
It solves a massive logistical problem while simultaneously creating a striking visual icon. I mean, you can look at the silhouette of an Edge-class ship from 5 miles away and instantly know what brand it is because of that orange cantilevered structure.
It is brilliantly functional art, but as visually dramatic as the magic carpet is, the architectural innovation that actually alters the passenger's daily reality the most is what they did to the private cabins.
The Infinite Veranda.
The Infinite Veranda. I really want to dig into the structural mechanics of this because it fundamentally changes how humans inhabit maritime space.
It's a total redesign of the cabin.
Think about a traditional cruise ship cabin. You have a room, and then you have a heavy, load-bearing steel wall with a sliding glass door.
Right.
You open the door, step over a metal threshold, and you are outside on a tiny balcony. It's entirely separate.
Right. The exterior wall is the primary structural barrier of the ship.
But the Infinite Veranda destroys that barrier. I was thinking about it like a convertible car.
That's a good analogy.
When you roll down a standard car window, you get a breeze. But when you drop the entire roof of a convertible, you don't just have a window anymore. You have fundamentally changed the nature of the entire vehicle from an enclosed pod to an open-air environment.
That is exactly the sensation. What the engineers did was push the structural framework of the ship completely out to the very edge of the hull.
They moved the skeleton.
Exactly. They eliminated that traditional dividing steel bulkhead that separates the room from the balcony. Instead, the entire outer wall of the cabin is composed of floor-to-ceiling glass panels.
Wow.
And with the push of a button, the top half of that glass facade drops down on a hydraulic track.
So the entire physical footprint of the cabin suddenly becomes a covered open-air terrace. The ocean air floods all the way to the foot of your bed.
Precisely. And it solves a massive inefficiency in cruise design.
Oh, because of bad weather.
Right. On a traditional ship, your balcony's completely useless dead space if the weather's too hot, too cold, or if it's raining. You lose 20% of your square footage.
Which is a lot in a cruise cabin.
It is. The Infinite Veranda reclaims that real estate. When the glass is up, the space is climate-controlled interior square footage. When the glass drops, it's an outdoor balcony. You get to control the boundary.
That's so smart.
And Celebrity committed to this structural redesign completely. Roughly 3/4 of all staterooms on the Edge class are Infinite Verandas.
It's a total reimagining of how we interact with the ocean. And they applied this exact same philosophy, erasing the boundary between indoor steel and outdoor sea to their massive public spaces as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Like on Edge, Apex, Beyond, and Ascent, they built a venue called Eden. It occupies 3 massive decks at the aft, the rear of the ship. And it was just wrapped in thousands of square feet of towering glass walls.
And again, the structural integrity required to have a 3-story glass wall at the rear of a ship that is absorbing the impact of ocean swells is immense.
I can't even fathom the math on that.
But they use that engineering to create a space that constantly morphs. In the morning, it's a serene, sun-drenched breakfast spot. In the afternoon, it's a lounging and cocktail area. And at night, it transforms into a highly theatrical, immersive performance venue.
And they keep iterating. On the newest ship, Excel, they evolved that aft space entirely into a new concept called the Bazaar, another multi-deck transformative complex.
They never stopped tweaking the design.
It's overwhelmingly clear that the Edge class is not just an aesthetic upgrade. It is a series of structural engineering marvels designed to manipulate how passengers experience their environment.
But here is the critical pivot point in our analysis.
Okay.
The architecture, the methanol engines, the hydraulic balconies, all of that sets the stage. It establishes the premium atmosphere. But you can engineer the most breathtaking, technologically advanced floating structure in human history.
Let me guess. If the food is bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the food is mediocre, your premium brand illusion completely collapses.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You have this billion-dollar stage, but to truly defend a premium market position, you have to execute on the single most scrutinized element of any vacation, which is the culinary experience.
It's what everyone talks about when they get home.
Always. And we aren't talking about good for a cruise ship food. That's a total backhanded compliment. The data suggests Celebrity is actively trying to rival the execution of top-tier restaurants in major global cities like New York or Paris.
It is a genuine culinary arms race.
And to fight that war, Celebrity brought in incredibly heavy artillery. They partnered with Daniel Boulud.
Daniel Boulud,
Yeah.
yes. The globally renowned multi-Michelin-starred French chef. He serves as the global culinary ambassador for the entire cruise line.
Which is a huge title.
It is. And he's not just a consultant advising on menu tweaks. He has his own signature, dedicated specialty restaurant on the Edge class ships called Le Voyage.
This is a major focal point, right? Because Le Voyage represents Daniel Boulud's first actual fine dining restaurant at sea.
Yes.
And they designed the physical environment to match the ambition. If you look at Le Voyage on the new Excel, it only seats 50 people.
Which is tiny.
Right. In a ship of over 3,000 passengers, a 50-seat venue is an incredible commitment to exclusivity. The space was designed by Joan Mancu, the same firm that designs Van Cleef and Arpels boutiques.
Very high-end.
Extremely. It features these highly intimate seating cocoons, custom lighting, and an atmosphere of absolute control. Guests can navigate an a la carte experience or surrender to a highly curated 5-course tasting menu.
It's a very elevated experience.
Okay, I have to stop you here. I need to play the skeptic for a second, because we have all seen this exact playbook before, and it almost always ends in disappointment.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
We have all walked through an international airport terminal and seen a massive glowing sign with a famous celebrity chef's name plastered over a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then you go in and you are served an $18 incredibly mediocre rubbery hamburger.
Airport special.
Right. It is usually nothing more than a highly lucrative licensing deal where the chef cashes a check and has zero day-to-day oversight over the kitchen. So my question is this Boulud partnership just a sophisticated maritime branding exercise? Is the execution of Le Voyage actually operating at a Michelin level when the kitchen is pitching in the middle of the ocean, thousands of miles away from Boulud's actual oversight?
That is the exact cynicism that every premium brand has to battle, and frankly, it's usually justified. But the evidence suggests Celebrity has actually achieved the impossible here. They recently secured a massive independent victory that completely validates their execution.
Oh. What happened?
In February 2026, the Forbes Travel Guide Star Awards were announced. Le Voyage on Celebrity Excel received the first ever Forbes Five-Star rating awarded to a restaurant at sea.
Wait, a Forbes Five-Star rating for a restaurant on a cruise ship?
Yes. And it wasn't a fluke. Le Voyage on the Celebrity Ascent earned a 4-star rating alongside the fine-cut steakhouse on both Ascent and Apex.
That is wild.
Now, to truly comprehend the gravity of this, we need to strip away the marketing and look at how punishingly rigorous the Forbes inspection process actually is. Forbes inspectors do not just care if the food is delicious.
What else are they looking at?
They are evaluating hundreds of microscopic, highly specific criteria.
What kind of criteria are we talking about?
We are talking about the exact ambient temperature of the plates when they hit the table. We are talking about the precise timing down to the minute between courses.
Oh, wow.
They evaluate the physical posture of the staff, the exact angle at which a bottle of wine is poured to prevent a single drip, and how seamlessly a dropped napkin is noticed and replaced without interrupting the guest's conversation.
It is basically culinary special forces.
Exactly. Now, achieving that level of obsessive, militant perfection in a static brick-and-mortar building in Manhattan, where you have daily access to specialized suppliers and a stable foundation, is incredibly difficult.
Right.
Achieving it on a moving vessel in the middle of the ocean, where your supply chains are entirely dictated by unpredictable port schedules, where the kitchen staff must compensate for the physical pitch and roll of the ocean while plating delicate sauces.
This seems impossible.
And where the ambient humidity is constantly changing. It is a staggering logistical and operational triumph.
It is the ultimate flex.
It really is. Earning a Forbes 5-star rating at sea provides the ultimate independent validation of Celebrity's premium claim. As the data notes, no other premium cruise line operating at this scale and price point has received Forbes recognition at this level. It proves the Boulud partnership is not just a licensing deal, it is a functioning ecosystem of high gastronomy.
Well, that completely dismantles my skepticism.
Yeah.
You simply cannot fake your way through a Forbes 5-star inspection.
You really can't.
And the impressive part is that this level of execution isn't isolated to just one 50-seat venue.
Yeah.
The operational guide outlines a massive, diverse ecosystem of dining.
Yeah, there's so much more.
Take Lumine, for example.
Yeah.
This is the private restaurant exclusively for suite guests. Their menus change daily, and they actually feature exclusive Daniel Boulud dishes that you cannot order anywhere else on the ship.
Very exclusive.
But what stood out to me was the text highlighting the sommelier team. It notes they are consistently praised for memorizing individual guest wine preferences from the very second evening of the voyage.
That's an incredible detail.
Right. In a dining room serving hundreds of suite guests, that requires an immense amount of communication and internal tracking by the staff.
It speaks volumes about the training infrastructure.
Yeah.
And for the thousands of passengers who aren't staying in suites, the culinary depth is still massive.
Yeah, what are the other options?
You have the fine-cut steakhouse, which, as we mentioned, also pulled a Forbes 4-star rating, serving USDA prime beef. You have Raw on 5, delivering high-quality sushi and oysters in a contemporary, almost urban setting. You have the rooftop garden grill for open-air barbecue.
And then there is Le Petit Chef, which just sounds incredibly fun.
Oh, that's a great concept.
It's a 3D animated tabletop dining experience. They use overhead 3D projection mapping technology to project miniature animated chefs directly onto your table.
Right onto the plate.
Yeah. These little chefs appear to be frantically preparing each course right on your plate, and as soon as the animation finishes, the real waiters seamlessly drop the actual identical dish right over the projection.
It is a massive technical integration of theater and dining.
And supporting all of these venues is a fleet-wide wine program that is repeatedly recognized by Wine Spectator, boasting over 500 different labels on the Edge-class ships alone.
Which brings us to a really fascinating psychological pivot point for the brand.
Okay, let's pivot.
You have this world-class, Forbes-rated food. You have this billion-dollar, structurally massive ship with cutting-edge entertainment and technology. But what if an affluent passenger wants all of that mega ship infrastructure, but also intensely desires an elevated, secluded, entirely private experience?
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
How does a brand architecturally cater to someone who essentially wants the isolation of a boutique hotel while floating on a ship with 3,000 other people?
This is where we get into the concept of tiered luxury. How celebrity engineers highly exclusive, locked-off micro-ecosystems within the larger macro structure of the hull. And they accomplish this primarily through two specific access tiers, Aqua Class and the Retreat.
Let's analyze Aqua Class first. This tier is positioned strategically right between the standard Infinite Veranda cabins and the top-tier suites. Its entire operational focus is wellness and restoration.
So it's for the spa crowd.
Exactly. If you book an Aqua Class stateroom, you aren't just buying a bed. You are buying priority integration into the ship's health infrastructure. You get priority access to the massive Canyon Ranch spa. You get unlimited complimentary access to the Persian Garden thermal suite.
Which is usually an extra charge, right?
Yes. It's a sprawling complex of heated loungers, steam rooms, and tropical showers that standard guests normally have to pay a hefty daily premium to utilize.
And they essentially get their own private dining ecosystem, right?
Yes, a restaurant called Blue. It's entirely dedicated to Aqua Class guests, focusing on lighter, Mediterranean-influenced cuisine, plant-based options, and biodynamic wines.
So it's very targeted.
It is an intentionally engineered ecosystem for a traveler whose primary objective is physical and mental detoxification, shielded from the heavier, richer dining experiences of the rest of the ship.
It's a great mid-tier option. But then you ascend to the absolute top of the pyramid, the Retreat.
The ultimate tier.
This concept is often referred to in the industry as a ship within a ship, and it is fully realized on all the Edge-class vessels. It is an all-suite, keycard access only enclave.
Highly restricted.
If you book a suite, and we are talking about a massive range here, from the entry-level Sky Suite all the way up to the sprawling multi-room iconic suite situated right above the bridge, you gain entry into a completely private, parallel world.
You're basically buying isolation.
Exactly. You get a massive, private, multi-level sun deck equipped with its own dedicated bar, plush cabanas, and plunge pools that are cantilevered over the edge of the ship.
Incredible amenities.
You have a sprawling, private, glass-walled lounge with dedicated concierges. You have exclusive, anytime access to Luminae for your meals. And crucially, you have the services of a 24-hour butler who handles everything from unpacking your luggage to coordinating private shore excursions.
The psychology behind the ship-within-a-ship concept is arguably the most brilliant evolution in modern cruising.
Why do you say that?
Because it elegantly solves the ultimate vacation paradox for highly affluent travelers. Often, luxury travelers deeply desire the absolute silence, the massive square footage, and the hyper-attentive, intuitive butler service of a tiny 50-room land-based boutique hotel or a small ultra-luxury yacht.
Duh.
But tiny boutique hotels and small yachts can get incredibly boring by day 4.
All right, there's nothing to do.
Exactly. They don't have the square footage to house a state-of-the-art theater putting on Broadway-caliber acrobatics. They don't have sprawling, high-energy casinos. They don't have 20 different specialty restaurants and bustling martini bars.
You're stuck.
Yes. The Retreat allows a wealthy guest to conquer that paradox. They have their ultra-luxurious, completely silent, heavily guarded sanctuary, but the moment they feel a craving for high energy, they can step out of an elevator and instantly immerse themselves in the massive, vibrant entertainment infrastructure of a 140,000-ton mega resort.
I instantly thought of this, like having an all-access VIP artist pass at a massive 80,000-person music festival like Coachella.
Oh, that's a perfect comparison.
When you are at a festival of that scale, the energy of the massive crowd at the main stage is intoxicating.
Mm-hmm.
You want to feel that bass. You want to be part of the spectacle.
Right.
But being in that crowd for 12 hours is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that VIP artist pass everything changes. You can walk out into the chaos, whatever you want, but the second you feel overwhelmed, or the second you just want a perfectly crafted, chilled cocktail in absolute silence, without waiting in a line, you flash your lanyard, bypass security, and retreat to your private, air-conditioned, fully catered sanctuary backstage.
That is exactly the dynamic.
You get to harness the spectacular scale of the festival, but you retain the comfort and control of a private club. That is exactly what the retreat is engineering on the ocean.
That is the perfect analogy. You are not just buying a bigger room, you are buying the power to actively modulate your environment and your level of social exposure at will. It is the ultimate luxury of choice.
But what if you do just want the tiny boutique experience?
Okay, let's explore that.
What if you actively want to skip the mega ship entirely, you don't care about the casino or the Broadway shows, and you literally just want to be on a highly specialized boat with a few dozen people? Surprisingly, Celebrity actually operates in that space too.
They do, yes.
But only in one very specific, highly fragile, heavily protected part of the world. We need to shift gears entirely and talk about the Galapagos fleet.
This is the most fascinating juxtaposition in Celebrity's entire corporate portfolio.
It really is.
For the last 40 minutes, we've been deeply analyzing massive 3,000-passenger steel behemoths that run on tri-fuel methanol engines and feature moving tennis court-sized platforms. But simultaneously, Celebrity operates a fleet of deeply credible, hyper-niche, minimalist expedition vessels.
The scale shift is completely jarring. The data lists 3 dedicated vessels built specifically for this region. Celebrity Flora, launched in 2019, Celebrity Flora II, which is coming online in 2026, and the smaller Celebrity Exploration.
Very small vessels.
And the capacity of these vessels is minuscule. They carry between 16 and 100 guests. Maximum, 100 guests. That is less than the capacity of a single dining venue on the Edge class.
And that microscopic scale is not an aesthetic choice. It is rigidly mandated by the environment.
Oh, because of the regulations.
Right. The Galapagos Islands are a deeply protected Ecuadorian national park and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They operate under some of the most unforgiving, strict ecological regulations on the planet.
Which makes sense.
The park authority rigidly caps the physical size of the vessels, the exact number of passengers allowed to step foot on specific islands per day, and the frequency of visits. You simply cannot navigate a 140,000-ton ship into the Galapagos archipelago. The ecosystem would collapse.
Which makes perfect ecological sense. But looking at it from a boardroom perspective, my question is, why does a multi-billion-dollar brand whose primary revenue driver is massive floating cities that generate millions of dollars in onboard casino and a beverage revenue per week bother dedicating resources to running a 16-person boat in South America?
It seems counterintuitive.
Right. The profit margin on a 16-person expedition cannot possibly move the needle for a conglomerate like Royal Caribbean. What is the strategic business value?
The value is not in the direct ticket revenue. The value is an absolute brand authority and the halo effect.
The halo effect.
Yes. Most other premium or mainstream cruise lines only visit the Galapagos occasionally. They might do a quick drive-by while repositioning a massive ship from the Caribbean to the Pacific. They treat the region as a novelty port stop.
Like checking a box.
Exactly. Celebrity, conversely, has built dedicated permanent maritime and logistical infrastructure in the region. They custom designed the Flora specifically for those exact currents and regulations. By committing so heavily and respectfully to the most delicate, heavily scrutinized ecological zone on Earth, it proves to the high-end luxury market that Celebrity is not just a factory churning out massive ships.
It buys them deep credibility.
Exactly. It proves they are capable of serious, hyper-specialized destination immersion when the environment demands it. If a traveler sees that Celebrity can flawlessly execute a respectful, highly educational eco-expedition in the Galapagos, they subconsciously trust the brand's competence to handle their summer vacation in the Mediterranean.
That makes total sense.
As the source material explicitly notes, for travelers whose primary lifelong bucket list goal is exploring the Galapagos, Celebrity's dedicated fleet is one of the most credible, established options in the global market. It elevates the prestige of the entire brand.
It proves they have immense operational range. They can execute the massive, high-tech Broadway spectacle, and they can execute the silent, deeply respectful eco-expedition.
They can do both.
Okay, so we have covered a massive amount of ground. We traced the 1988 history, the evolution of the fleet architectures, the billion-dollar Edge-class engineering. the Forbes Five-Star culinary arms race, the psychology of tiered luxury suites, and the Galapagos expeditions. We have painted the complete operational picture.
It's a very clear picture now.
But now, we have to arrive at the reality check. We have to address the most important section for you, the listener.
The cost.
How do you actually pay for all this billion-dollar engineering, and who is this highly specific product actually built for? Let's dive into the balance sheet, the competitor comparisons, and the target audience.
The financial modeling of a modern cruise vacation can often be the most deceptive and confusing part of the planning process for a traveler.
It's a maze.
It really is. Historically, cruising was pitched as all-inclusive, but over the last decade, the industry has aggressively unbundled its pricing. Celebrity operates within what they call a premium fare model.
What does that actually mean?
According to the data, it is significantly more inclusive than the nickel and diming you experience on mainstream mass market lines, but it is distinctly less comprehensive than the astronomically priced, true ultra-luxury lines.
Right. If you buy a standard base fare, it covers your room, basic entertainment, and meals in the massive main dining venues. But what the vast majority of passengers do, according to the data, is book under Celebrity's always included pricing package.
The bundled package.
Right. This is a bundled upfront price that fundamentally adds three things. The classic beverage package, which covers standard wine, spirits, beers, and premium coffees up to a certain dollar limit per drink. Unlimited basic Wi-Fi, and all standard crew gratuities.
And if we step back and look at the behavioral economics of this, we can see exactly the psychological friction Celebrity is trying to eliminate.
The friction of constantly paying for things.
Right. By bundling drinks, tips, and internet, the always-included package simplifies the daily onboard experience. It stops the guest from having to mentally calculate the cost of a cappuccino at 8 a.m. or the tip for a bartender at midnight. It makes the vacation feel seamless and worry-free.
Okay, I am going to push back incredibly hard on this.
Yeah.
Because always included is a masterclass in marketing semantics, but it is dangerously close to deceptive.
Okay, let's hear the critique.
Let's look at the reality. They call it always included, but the very next paragraph in our guide lists exactly what is not included.
It is always a list.
Right. If I want to eat at Daniel Boulud's Voyages and experience that Forbes Five-Star meal, I pay a massive upcharge. If I want a massage in the Canyon Ranch Spa, I pay extra. Shore excursions, extra.
Nope.
If I want a glass of high-end champagne that exceeds the limit of the classic beverage package, I pay the difference. So isn't calling it always included just a psychological trick to lower the passengers' defenses so they happily swipe their room card for all these massive premium upcharges once they are on board? It's not true all-inclusive luxury.
Your critique is completely accurate, and it strikes at the very heart of the premium category's business model. You are right, it is not true all-inclusive luxury.
It's a baseline.
Yes, it is a baseline of comfort designed to remove the cheap, friction-like tipping for a soda while leaving the door wide open for high-margin, premium upselling.
They want you to buy the extras.
They give you a highly polished, robust baseline, but they absolutely rely on a certain percentage of passengers opting to pay substantial upcharges for the pinnacle culinary and wellness experiences. If they included Le Voyage and the spa in the base fare, the upfront ticket price would easily double.
Which changes the demographic entirely.
Exactly. They would price themselves entirely out of the premium market and directly into the ultra-luxury bracket, which is a much smaller pool of potential customers.
So it's a deliberate balancing act. To really understand if this pricing structure offers actual value, the guide does an excellent job of lining Celebrity up directly against its immediate competitors. Let's walk through these comparisons carefully, because this is where the hardware choices make a massive difference.
The first direct comparison is Oceania Cruises.
Right.
Oceania is renowned in the industry for having an exceptionally strong, perhaps unparalleled culinary program, which is heavily guided by legendary chef Jacques Pepin.
The food is legendary.
However, their fleet philosophy is completely different. They operate much smaller, older ships, usually holding between 670 and 1,250 guests. Because of that size, they focus on longer, more destination-intensive itineraries.
Like the hardware.
Crucially, Oceania's physical hardware is significantly more traditional and far less contemporary or design-forward than Celebrity's billion-dollar Edge class. You aren't getting hydraulic magic carpets on Oceania.
Then you look at a newer disruptor, Virgin Voyages. Virgin made huge waves because they're strictly adults only, no kids allowed.
A huge selling point for some.
Huge. And they are aggressively, genuinely all-inclusive regarding food. Even their 20 different specialty dining venues are fully included in the base fare, along with Wi-Fi and gratuities. They carry about 2,770 guests. But their entire brand vibe is radically different.
Completely different energy.
The Virgin is heavily oriented toward high-energy nightlife, late-night parties, and a very edgy, modern aesthetic. It is much louder and less focused on the kind of serene, sophisticated architectural tranquility that Celebrity actively engineers with spaces like the rooftop garden.
Exactly. They are targeting a completely different psychological state. Then we look at Azamara.
Right. Azamara used to be connected to Royal Caribbean, didn't they?
Yes, Azamara used to be owned by Royal Caribbean as well, but was spun off. They're much smaller. Their ships only carry about 686 guests.
Very small.
Azamara's entire operational philosophy is destination immersion. They actively engineer their itineraries to include late-night departures and overnight stays in ports, allowing guests to actually experience the nightlife and culture of the cities they visit, rather than rushing back to the ship at 5 p.m.
That sounds wonderful, actually.
It is, but again, their ships are older, traditional R-class vessels. The hardware is comfortable, but it simply does not compete with the modern, glass-centric architecture of Celebrity.
And finally, the guide provides the ultimate benchmark. It compares Celebrity, specifically the guests staying in the retreat, directly against Seabourn. Now, Seabourn is true, uncompromised, ultra-luxury.
Top of the top.
We are talking tiny, intimate ships holding only 264 to 600 guests, an almost 1-to-1 crew-to-passenger ratio, Michelin-level dining in partnership with Thomas Keller, where there are absolutely zero extra cover charges.
Champagne flowing freely.
Exactly. It is unequivocally 100% all-inclusive. But it is a fundamentally different product at a fundamentally astronomical price point. You are paying massively upfront for that privilege.
And analyzing these competitors reveals the exact, highly specific gap in the market that Celebrity has engineered itself to dominate.
A sweet spot.
Yes, they are offering the architectural awe and entertainment variety that Oceania and Azamara lack due to their size. They are offering a sophisticated, multi-generational serenity that Virgin actively avoids. And they are offering a taste of elite butler service luxury through the retreat without demanding the massive, prohibitive upfront capital required to board a seaborne vessel.
So synthesizing all of this data, who's the actual target learner here?
Oh.
Who's the ideal passenger whose desires perfectly align with this billion-dollar business model? The data paints a very clear demographic profile.
It does.
It is engineered for highly design-conscious travelers who want their environment to genuinely look and feel modern, architectural, and different from the standard neon cruise aesthetic.
And it is built for food and wine enthusiasts who demand Michelin-level engagement and deep wine lists, and who are entirely willing to pay a premium upcharge to access venues like Le Voyage.
It's highly optimized for couples in their late 30s and above, active retirees, and solo travelers who value a deeply sophisticated premium atmosphere, but who absolutely reject the stiff, tuxedo-wearing formality of traditional legacy luxury lines.
A relaxed sophistication.
Exactly. And ultimately, it's for people who want the streamlined convenience of the always-included package, who enjoy the sheer spectacle of a megaship, but who refuse to sacrifice high-end culinary execution.
But just as importantly, and this is vital for anyone making a purchasing decision, the data is brutally clear about who Celebrity is not for.
This is key.
If you are a family with 3 young children and your primary requirement is massive, large-scale, adrenaline-pumping entertainment infrastructure, if you need sprawling water parks, go-kart tracks, surfing simulators, and roller coasters to keep the kids busy, Celebrity will severely disappoint you. They intentionally do not build those facilities.
If you are an adventure traveler looking for hardcore polar expeditions and ice-breaking capabilities, their fleet is not designed for that.
Right.
And if you are an introverted traveler who demands a purely small ship, hyper-intimate experience for your entire vacation, you have to remember that even Celebrity's absolute smallest non-Galapagos ships still carry over 2,000 guests. Unless you are booking the 16-person Flora in Ecuador, you're going to be surrounded by a massive amount of humanity.
You can't escape the scale.
Right. And finally, if you are a purist who demands a 100% true, all-inclusive financial model where you never, ever see a single extra charge or sign a receipt for a premium steak, Celebrity's tiered pricing model will deeply frustrate you.
It is a beautifully defined brand because they know exactly who they are, and they are entirely unafraid of alienating the demographics they aren't trying to serve.
That takes confidence.
But we do have to look at the macroeconomic risk of this strategy. By planting themselves so firmly in the premium middle ground, relying on affluent, but not necessarily ultra-wealthy professionals, they are exposed.
How so?
If the global economy dips into a severe recession, history shows that the middle of the market often gets hollowed out.
Oh, I see.
The ultra-wealthy keep sailing on seaboard, and the budget travelers flock to the cheapest mass-market megaships. The premium customer that celebrity relies on is the first to delay their billion-dollar methanol-powered vacation.
That is a very real looming vulnerability. They have built an incredible ecosystem, but it requires a very healthy global middle to upper class to sustain it.
It relies on that demographic entirely.
Well, we've gone on quite an expansive journey today, unpacking Yvonne Jr. Blanchette's guide. We started way back in 1988 with the Greek shipping family trying to elevate a race to the bottom market.
We covered a lot.
We analyzed how they secured massive corporate conglomerate funding in 1997 while fiercely protecting their indie soul. We examined the agronomic madness of putting real grass on a pitching steel deck.
And we completely deconstructed the billion-dollar edge-class architecture. From stretching the hull 20 meters for purely spatial luxury to the hydraulic wizardry of the magic carpet.
The Infinite Veranda.
Yes, the load-bearing innovations of the Infinite Veranda, the environmental leap of tri-fuel methanol engines, and the staggering logistical triumph of executing a Forbes Five-Star restaurant at sea with Daniel Boulud.
It really is a masterclass in highly intentional, relentless brand evolution. They took the notoriously vague, often disappointing concept of premium hospitality and give it a distinct, undeniable billion-dollar physical form.
They made it real.
They proved that with enough capital and brilliant structural engineering, you actually can blur the lines between the massive scale of a megaship and the highly curated intimacy of a boutique yacht.
But if we step back from just analyzing the cruise industry, the sheer scale of celebrities' engineering achievements raises a much larger, frankly provocative question about the entire future of global hospitality.
I love a big question. What are you thinking?
If a moving, vibrating, 140,000-ton steel vessel carrying 3,000 passengers can successfully engineer retractable glass walls, pivot to alternative green fuels, and execute a Forbes Five-Star culinary experience that genuinely rivals the most prestigious static restaurants in Paris or New York.
Yeah.
What does the future of traditional land-based luxury resorts actually look like? Are the oceans, with their lack of zoning laws and limitless physical boundaries, becoming the true frontier for absolute architectural and culinary innovation?
That is such an incredible point. It makes you wonder if those prestigious land-based hotels are the ones who actually need to start catching up.
They might be falling behind.
Because it turns out, blurring the lines of the $1 billion of structural engineering doesn't just break the old mold, it builds an entirely new horizon. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of premium travel. Until next time, keep exploring.
You've been listening to Beyond the Horizon, the podcast by Area Voyages. The full article for this episode is available at www.areavoyages.com. Remember to like, share the podcast, and leave a review to help promote our work. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Until next time, safe travels.